Holy macaroni. Those elections did not go so well for Republicans.
And more than 3 short years ago, I was up and down the road without a penny to my name. So very young and so afraid, no proper shoes upon my feet. Sometimes I couldn't even eat. I often cried myself to sleep. Still I had to keep on.
What do you want me to tell you? Women are taking over. Female governors in Michigan now, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Oregon, Guam, Puerto Rico. What's next? What's next? A socialist in charge of the city that is a very embodiment of capitalism and excess? We are truly living in interesting times.
I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
I'm so upset. I'm so upset over what's coming. I was watching the election results unfold, and I got so depressed when the realization set in of what was coming. When they went to commercials. And those dang Macy's perfume commercials came on. And I said, oh no, it's that time of year again. I got to deal with these perfume and cologne commercials. Sorry, parfum. Not perfume, parfum. Oh, the election results? I don't care nothing about that. I wasn't upset about the election results other than I was way off, but I take no responsibility. I dodge all responsibility in New Jersey because I said Chitterelli was going to win, but I based that on the polls. The polls were useless. The polls had that a close race. That's why I predicted Chitterelli there. And even some of the polls that had Mikey Sherrill ahead had her ahead 7 points, not 13 points. That she won by in New York City. I knew Mamdani was going to win. I predicted that, but even I thought he was going to win by even more than the amount that he won by. So I was way off on my predictions this time around. But once again, I dodge all responsibility for that. But I'm not upset over the results because, as I say, I try and practice what I preach. And I have said I can't pass judgment on something until I see what the result of that thing is going to be. So I don't know what the result right now is going to be in New York City, New Jersey, Virginia, California, with their success on Prop 50, the redistricting vote to combat Texas redistricting. I don't know what the outcome of these things are going to be. I can offer my opinion to you, tell you what I think, but as they say, opinions are like buttholes. Everyone's got one they work with. Yeah. So I don't know. I all I can do is offer this olive branch of truce. As someone who was not progressive, as someone who has, how can I put it mildly, some trepidation. Some trepidation with what's going to happen with Mamdani in New York City, all I can do is offer an olive branch of peace and truce to the farther left wing of the Democratic Party, to the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, to the Democratic Socialist wing of the Democratic Party. All I can do is say, okay, election's over now. Go out and dance. Go out and dance this weekend. Have a great time. Have fun. The election's over. But then we got to get to the work of unifying the Democratic Party because divided, we fall. It's as simple as that. Divided, we fall. Sooner or later, someone has to emerge as the leader who is going to unite the progressive wing of the party and the more moderate wing of the party. That's all I want to see now. If you disagree, okay. If you agree, okay. But let's move on to productive exchanges of ideas to advance a common objective. Before I really get going here, let me just say two quick things. Number one, Canada. Take that. How'd you like that World Series? Boo our national anthem. How dare you? How dare you? Take that. America won. Now, it did sure seem like half the Dodgers needed a Japanese interpreter, but they were American enough. All right. Number two, 60 Minutes. What are you doing? What are you doing, 60 Minutes? You know good and doggone well if you do an interview with Donald Trump, you have to have someone standing nearby with a tranquilizer gun ready to take him out. I felt so bad for that poor woman. Every time a contentious interview with President Can't Get Right takes place, particularly with a woman, I feel like I'm watching a new mother trying to get her newborn baby to eat his mushy peas. I mean, it's terribly frustrating to watch. It makes the interviewer look like she's doing a bad job because she's trying to get a straight answer, but also trying to fact check, but also trying to cover as many topics as possible. And you think you're prepared for anything that could come out of his mouth, but who in their right minds could have predicted when you ask him, hey, how come you pardoned this crypto billionaire Changpeng Zhao? When you ask him that, who could have guessed Trump would have said, look, I don't even know who that is. Who would have guessed that would be his answer? She said, well, look, you pardoned the guy. He's like, look, what did I say? I don't even know who he is. He acted like he was offended that he got asked a question. He wasn't the least bit uncomfortable. Wasn't the least bit uncomfortable when she said, look, this guy, this Changpeng Zhao, Binance, and then your two sons are into crypto and they're making billions and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I know what you're talking about. Who would have predicted that? Me, that's who. Me. I told you, if Melania Trump gets herself in trouble and is going to jail and can drag him down with her, Donald Trump will swear up and down, I don't even know who Melania is. I don't even know who she is. Mr. President, it's your wife. You two have a son together. He'll go, hey, maybe we do, maybe we don't. We're going on Maury Povich. And there they'll sit. There they'll sit on Maury. And Maury will be, when it comes to 19-year-old Barron, Donald, you are the father. Oh, Melania will be in his face. I told you, Donald. I told you. This is, it's fascinatingly disturbing. Fascinatingly disturbing. I was going to play the clip from it. I'm not. Let's move on. And once again, as I say, let me make my plea. Now, hang in there with me. Hang in there because I'm hoping this makes it to the people it needs to make it to. I know I got some people who listen regularly who agree with me on this sort of thing, this more moderate, independent view on thing. So I really hope the people who I know are not necessarily going to agree will recognize, hey, sometimes you got to hear it from the other side. So I make my plea of a truce to begin the healing process among center-left, moderate, centrist, independent voters, and progressive Democratic Socialist farther-left voters. And listen, yes, sometimes I may slip up and I may call Zohran Mamdani a socialist, okay? I know sometimes people get upset. No, he's a Democratic Socialist. He's not a socialist. You must understand, that's like if I said, hey, I heard your brother's in prison, and somebody going, no, he's in jail. He's in jail. He's not in prison. Okay, sorry. So forgive me if I slip up and say socialist instead of Democratic Socialist. Okay. We have some different disagreements. I'm just an independent voter. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not rich. I assure you, I tie my yacht up at the marina the same way you do. 1 figure 8 locking hitch knot around the cleat. That's it. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what you're thinking. Isn't that a knot around a cleat better suited for a fishing boat, not a yacht? You got me. Yes, you got me. I don't tie up my boat myself. That's what the help is for. But my point is, I'm not rich. I'm just like you. And we just have some differences. But this is not the time, to me, in my opinion, to try and pontificate on the differences or why I think this won't work or why, I don't get it. I don't see it that way or you don't see it that way. This is the time for a story. Let me tell you a story. Let's just have a chat. Let's just talk, shall we? This story is based on a movie, which is going to sound ridiculous, but I hope you get it. The story's based on a movie. The movie was called Other People's Money from 1991 with Danny DeVito, Gregory Peck, and Penelope Ann Miller. By the way, this story is going to include a spoiler of this movie, so if you don't want to hear that, I'll tell you what time to tune back in once I finish up the show and see exactly where this section of the show is in time, I'll tell you where you can tune out and tune back in. If you don't want the spoiler, tune out at 9 minutes, 56 seconds and tune back in at 13 minutes, 17 seconds. Okay? But it's other people's money. And look at that. Rotten Tomatoes only gave it 31%. That's an outrage. 31%. It was a good movie. So Gregory Peck is this sweet, old, charming man who built a successful company making wire cable. Okay? He loves his company. He loves his employees. He loves the town. And the town loves him. But times have been tough lately for the iron and steel industry. Danny DeVito is a billionaire Wall Street tycoon who makes his fortune doing hostile takeovers of struggling companies, shutting them down, selling off the parts. Okay? This was big in the 90s in movies. It was Wall Street. It was, Wall Street with Michael Douglas, Charlie Sheen. It was the Hooker movie with Richard Gere. Oh, Pretty Woman. It was Pretty Woman. That's what he did. Wall Street tycoon. They come in, they take over these companies, and they leave a trail of destruction behind them. Okay? So Danny DeVito sets his sights on Gregory Peck's company. Long story short, Gregory Peck is convinced to call his business-smart daughter for help. She convinces Danny DeVito to hold a shareholders meeting and each side vote and make the case who should own the company. Okay? Gregory Peck gets up, gives an impassioned, moving speech about family and workers, and don't let this greedy little man take what we've spent our lives building. The crowd goes wild. They love him. Danny DeVito gets up. Boo! Boo! They hate Danny DeVito. Then he gives his speech, and he tells the shareholders, this company is dead. Don't blame me. I didn't kill it, but this company is dead. When the question comes to Danny DeVito, well, what about the workers? He says, who cares? Who cares? When the question comes up, well, what about the town? Danny DeVito says, who cares? Who cares? The company is dead. All the caring in the world is not going to change that because of one word, fiber optics. Remember, this is the 90s. Fiber optics. We don't use wire and steel cable anymore. We use fiber optics. And so the harsh reality of the truth sets in, and no matter how much the people hated that slimy, low-life, billionaire corporate raider, it didn't change the reality of the future. But wait, there's more. The best part of it, it turns out the young, brilliant daughter, business-minded daughter, who Gregory Peck didn't want to listen to, had a strategy all along. Putting the ownership of the company up for vote by shareholders, that was nothing more than a stalling tactic. She knew she would lose, but she needed time to put together an investment group to retool the factory to start manufacturing airbags, which are made out of thin strands of steel wire, what this company puts out. She had a plan B all along, and in the end, she saved the company. It was a great movie. It was charming. It was funny, romantic comedy sort of a thing. It was a good movie. But it had, to me, as long ago as I saw that movie, it had two morals in it. Number one, no matter how much you care about things, you can't stop progress. I'm sorry. You just can't. Not just revolutionary type progress. When washing machines came along, people were not going to keep beating their clothes on rocks at the river. They just weren't. You can't stop progress. You cannot stop the AI and robotics progress that is coming. That's just a harsh reality that even if it's coming from people that you hate, you have to recognize. Moral number two, have a plan B. You got to have a plan B. Your strategy to fight back against what you hate or what you consider wrong, the wrong way of going about doing things, you can't fight back unless you have a plan B, plan C, plan D, and so forth. And that comparison group is where the trepidation comes from. That's where it comes from. That's where I offer this truce to have constructive conversation with the people who disagree with me and I disagree with. What is your plan B? If Zohran Mamdani or Mikey Sherrill or Abigail Spanishberger down in Virginia can't accomplish all the things they want to accomplish, what is your plan B? Falling in love with these politicians who inspire you is only part of the battle. That's great. You fall in love, you go out, you campaign for them, you get active, you get them elected. But once you get elected, what's the plan B? I hear the plan A. What's the plan B if things don't go exactly the way you expect them to? Because trust me, things are not going exactly the way you expect them to. That's the one consideration. The one consideration that I would ask my friends over there on the far left, on the progressive side of things, the Democratic Socialist Party, to consider. Because they believe capitalism doesn't work. Capitalism sucks, it appears. The people who would consider themselves now Democratic Socialist. But I would ask for some honesty there, too. Capitalism doesn't work? Well, it worked for Clinton, according to you. It worked for Obama, according to you. It worked for Biden, according to you. Because I constantly see people on the left putting up charts. Look at Clinton compared to Trump. Look at Obama compared to Trump. Look at Biden compared to Trump. Look at the stock market under Democrats versus Republicans. Look at job creation under Democrats versus Republicans. That's all capitalism. That's all capitalism. Even the immigrants that came here and built America, as Mamdani would say, that was capitalism. They came here because the streets were paved with gold. They thought because of capitalism. Anyone can make it in America because of capitalism. But okay, I hear you. You would say, well, everyone isn't getting the positive effects right now. And it's a lot tougher for people right now. And the game has become more rigged right now. And look, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. I'll repeat that sincerely. You ain't wrong. I see it. I see what's going on. I feel it too. I see it too. But we are seeing it in two different ways. Respectfully, we are seeing it in two different ways. You are seeing what capitalism is doing to us. I'm seeing what is being done to capitalism to make capitalism not work the right way. I could talk about that for hours, so I'm not going to get distracted on that. I'll just leave that point there. You are seeing what capitalism does to you. I'm seeing what people, special interests, are doing to capitalism. So it's their fault. It's not necessarily capitalism's fault. Let me put it to you this way, and please no one get offended. I'm being serious. I'm not making a joke. I'm trying to make a point. It would be like someone being in Jamaica in the middle of Hurricane Melissa and saying, Jamaica sucks. Jamaica sucks. Well, no, Jamaica doesn't suck. The country Jamaica doesn't suck. Right now, where you are in Jamaica sucks because of the hurricane. Don't say the whole country sucks, because right now you're in the middle of something bad, and that's what's going on. Right now, people are in the middle of something bad. Yeah, it's been going on for a while, but it's gotten progressively worse to reaching this breaking point, if you ask me. It's gotten as bad as it's ever gotten. The income inequality has gotten as bad as it's ever gotten. The greed has gotten as bad as it's ever gotten. The politics have gotten as bad as they've ever gotten. The media has gotten as bad as it's ever gotten. It's all gotten as bad as it's ever gotten. We've reached this tipping point, this boiling point in this moment. And a lot of people are pointing the finger of blame at capitalism as opposed to pointing the fingers of blame at the people responsible for what's being done to capitalism. That's just my opinion. I respect your disagreement with that. I would hope you would just respect my opinion and have a conversation with me. That's all. I mean, seriously, just stop and think about it. Think about that Jamaica comparison. You are literally in a place at the worst possible time to be in that place. At the worst possible time in your life to be in that place. So you have these people in New York City who hate capitalism because they are in the worst possible place for capitalism at the worst possible time in their life. The very popular voter group for Mamdani, the 18 to 29-year-olds. The worst place at the worst possible time in their life. And they're putting that on capitalism. Let me explain it to you this way. 0 to 18, from age 0 to 18, someone is legally responsible for keeping you alive. Legally responsible for taking care of you. If somebody visits the house and there's no food or heat or you're not being educated, the person responsible for you could be hauled off to jail. So 0 to 18, hopefully, if you got responsible guardians, you're doing all right. You're doing all right from 0 to 18. From 18 to 29, things get a little dicey. Now, this is the biggest voting block for progressives. These are the capitalism sucks people. No, life sucks. For most people in this age group, life sucks amongst the capitalism because you're probably making the least amount of money you're ever going to make. You're trying for the first time to support yourself, not someone supporting you, but support yourself. Maybe you're trying to get your first apartment. You're trying to get your first car that you've ever owned by yourself. You have no credit history. You're trying to have fun and live life because that's the time to have fun and live life. Maybe you're even at some point between 18 and 29 trying to start a family. You want to start a family because you're like, I'm getting older. I'm 27, 28, 29. Time to start a family. No, I Googled this because I don't want to come here and speak out of turn. So I Googled, are storks delivering random babies to people in Brooklyn? And sure enough, Google says no, people are still having babies the old-fashioned way. So in some cases, people are having babies even though they know they can't afford to have babies. That sucks. That makes life suck. That has nothing to do with capitalism. So it's not hard to figure out why this particular age group is susceptible to the message of the game is rigged. It's not difficult because everything sucks. Now, the next age group, 29 to 34, it's figure it out time. It is figure it out. This age range, 29 to 34, is the most critical time in your life. The decisions you make in these few short years could very well determine your future. 18 to 29, you mess up, you got time to come back from it. 29 to 34, you mess up. So you mess up your credit, for instance, you will be in your 40s before you can recover. 29 to 34 is put up or shut up time. It's time to figure it out. What are you going to be and who are you going to be it with? 34 to 55, zero room for error here. Zero room for error. Things should be starting to run like clockwork. Now is the time to put the 4 key successes to life I always talk about into practice. What are the 4 key successes to life? Hard work, knowledge, talent, and luck. Hard work should be a habit by now. You're a self-starter. No one needs to prod you to work hard. Knowledge, you have the experience now. You know what works and what doesn't. Talent, you know what you're good at, what you excel at, focus on that. And luck, of course, the harder you work, the luckier you get. That's 34 to 55. 55 and on, whatever. Can be different for everyone. Could be different from everyone. What's the goal? You want to retire early? You want to build a legacy for children and grandchildren? For me, it's always been making enough money to be above the law. That's all. I just want to make enough to buy myself out of any trouble that I get into. That's my goal. But the goals can be different for everyone from age 55 and over. But that's it. That's it. I mean, of course it's not written in stone. Of course it's not the same for everyone. Of course, some people's struggles will be greater than other people's struggles. Of course, it depends on where you are, where you're born, where you live, who your parents are, who the influences are around you. It's all about, we're all the sum total of our experiences. So, of course, there's variations on that theme. But once again, you'll hear people talk all the time about someone who's born rich, who has it easy, and then they grow up, and then they screw up. Between that 29 to 34, they screw up. And what do people always say? You know why? Because they grew up rich, they didn't struggle. They didn't have to struggle. And so this is all, it's all a conversation. It's all an open conversation. From 18 to 29, the people in that age group. How much struggle is too much struggle? That's different for everybody. It's different for everybody. Yeah, sure. You should be able to have a place to live, a roof over your head. You should have health care. You should have something to eat. Expect reasonably to go out and buy a meal without having to take out a loan. Of course you should expect all of those things. At the same time, there should be an expectation that the 18 to 29 age group doesn't go around smoking wacky weed and drinking 10 Red Bulls a day and then want health care when they turn 55. because they messed up their liver and their heart and their kidneys and everything else. And now they want health care. They feel entitled to health care. So it's all a conversation. This is why I could never be a politician. This is why I can't even really be a podcaster, because I got to speak the truth. I want to have this conversation. I'm trying to find people who are willing to have it with me without getting offended. I mean, that's the truth. Life is going to include a certain amount of struggle, depending who you are, what you have, what you're born with. But you can't eliminate the keys to success: the hard work, the knowledge, the talent, and the luck. You can't just ignore those things and say, well, the government has to help me. Okay, but it's a partnership. It's a partnership. Good, well-managed public policy alongside an expectation for some level of personal responsibility. Nothing will work. Not capitalism, not socialism, not democratic socialism. If the two aren't intertwined, working together for the best result, the best outcomes, not the perfect outcome. There's never going to be the perfect outcome. And all sorts of adjustments need to be made along the way. There are ebbs and flows in every economy. Sometimes more government intervention is needed. Sometimes less. Sometimes more regulation is needed. Sometimes less. You don't want to snuff out an emerging industry like robotics, for instance, but you don't want it to run amok either. Having robots perform my heart surgery next year because it's cheaper, we don't want that. But who's going to lead us? Who's going to lead us in this conversation that needs to take place? This open and honest conversation. Don't say me. I told you, I'm busy. I told you, my Xbox ain't going to play itself. Don't look at me. I'm happy just coming on here anonymously putting out this podcast, hoping a couple people will listen to it. So don't look at me. We need somebody to stand up and be the charismatic leader that Mamdani is, that Bernie Sanders is, that Alexandria Marjorie Taylor is my new best friend Ocasio-Cortez is, but have a little modesty, have a little pragmatism, have a little openness. That's all. Is that too much to ask, really? You're telling me I'm asking too much if I say, hey, look, sure, the government can be a positive partner along the way in early education, public education, childcare, starting a business, going to college, buying a home, saving for retirement, healthcare, all of it. All of it. When done properly, when managed properly, that enhances our society. Government helping with all of that doesn't hurt it. But on the other side of it, I'm saying, listen, to be successful, to achieve the American dream, people should also contribute their fair share in personal responsibility. It's not just about rich paying their fair share. It's also about people doing their fair share. That's what's missing. That's what's missing for me, is people have to do their fair share. The best public education in the world is useless if the kids aren't in school, if the parents aren't involved. If you give money for childcare so people can go to work, I think those people should go to work. Call me crazy. But if we provide childcare so people can go to work, they have to go to work. They can't say, oh, no, well, I didn't mean that job. I don't want to do that job. And I love the entrepreneurial spirit, but don't borrow money from the government and quit your job at Kentucky Fried Chicken and try and start a record label. People can't just put their hands over their ears and go, nah, I can't hear you, because they don't want to hear you because they don't have an answer for what you're saying. People can't do that. People got to realize the limitations of their ideas. A few months back, the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond tweeted to Gavin Newsom and said, Gavin Newsom, basically, your overregulation ran our company out of the state of California. And so what did Gavin Newsom say? Whatever, loser. I thought your company was out of business. He basically made a joke out of it, Governor Gavin Newsom. And the CEO answered Gavin Newsom back and said, wow, I honestly thought you would have a conversation about this. It was an amazing exchange because the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond, which, by the way, I also thought was out of business, he wasn't trying to make a political point or score some kind of political point against Gavin Newsom. He was trying to say, listen, I don't think you understand. Our company cannot do business in the state of California. Between the regulations, between the taxes, we're struggling. And what does that mean? When a company like that is struggling and does go out of business, it means less competition. Less competition for the Walmarts and the Amazons. And so someone from my point of view, I say, look, when taxes go up, when the cost of labor goes up, when the cost of regulation goes up, that comes back on us, the consumer. And if you answer me back, well, that's why we need more competition, then don't kill competition. Don't kill competition. And when somebody tells you, look, you're killing competition, don't put your hands over your ears and go, nah, 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 I can't hear you. We need smart, open-minded, pragmatic people with the best intentions for everyone. Best intentions for everyone. Everyone who's contributing, playing by the rules, adding to the common good, not just taking what they can. And I believe the Democrats have that. They have smart people. I don't know so much about the open-minded and pragmatic. I do think they have the best intentions for everyone. For everyone. Republicans care about who votes for them. Democrats, they care about everyone. They don't care if you didn't vote for them because they are so locked in on their ideas. They believe their ideas are the proper ideas. So if their ideas benefit everyone, they don't care. So they'll help anyone, even the people who don't vote for them. And so that's what you got. You got smart people who are trying to help everyone. The problem is they don't know what they don't know. But they think they do because they're smart. I was watching Jeopardy the other night, and anyone who saw this can back me up on this. Watching Jeopardy, they had 3 smart people on, as they always do, on Jeopardy, and they were running through the board. Hey, just running through. I'll take astronautical engineering for 1,000, please. Okay, it is an essential area of study if you want to travel beyond Earth's atmosphere. What is spacecraft propulsion systems? Oh, correct. I'll take Latin potpourri for 800, please. Oh, yes, okay. Please give your answer to these in Latin, if you will. They were just running through these impossible questions. And then, I kid you not, one guy said, give me sports stuff for 200. And the host, Ken Jennings, said, the initials RBI mean this. And just blank stares. Blank stares from all 3 contestants. They were baffled. RBI means this. Runs batted in was the answer, of course. But none of them knew it. It was amazing. None of the smart people who were answering questions that you couldn't even conceive of knew what RBI stood for. And maybe a lot of people don't. If you're not a baseball fan, maybe a lot of people don't. But it doesn't make you any dumber if you don't. It doesn't make you any smarter if you do. We really have to start to get to that realization in this country. Just because you know something I don't doesn't make you smarter. Just because I know something you don't doesn't make you dumber. We all know what we know. But we also don't know what we don't know, which is why we have to listen to one another. Because we are all the sum total of our experiences in life. There are things I may know about my particular business, others don't. So why not take advantage of that? Why not take advantage of listening to someone that has experience that you don't? What, just because you disagree with them on certain things? It's like I took the class the semester before you have to take the class, and I have great notes. Don't you want my notes? Wouldn't that make the class easier for you? If I took great notes, I had the class, I know what's coming, I can tell you. Wouldn't that make life easier? But it's like we shut that down, as I say, just because we have fundamental disagreements on things. Because people convince us that we have to be enemies. That someone who has a more moderate, centrist, pragmatic approach to things has to be the enemy. That we can't be unified. That those people just don't get it. They don't get that we're trying to change the status quo. That we're looking to try and revolutionize the country. Well, that's great, but while you're in the middle of your revolution, I still got to pay my mortgage. I still got to put food on the table. Maybe you can afford to lose your job and start over at 22 years of age. I can't. I'm at that stage of life where there's no room for error. You're not. We have to have an understanding. Stuff doesn't just happen. People don't just stumble backwards into success or failure or mediocrity. Hard work, knowledge, skill, luck. Capitalism Socialism, economics, it's a science. Economics is a science. I would tell you it's a behavioral science. People are real quick today to tell you I believe in science. Like they're selling Bunsen burners or something. I believe in science. Well, okay. If you believe in science, believe this. Economics is about behavior, and behavior is extremely difficult to predict. Okay, free buses in New York City, expect bus drivers and cops to hate that because they're going to be the ones who have to get the homeless off the bus who want to ride all day for free. Higher taxes? Okay, expect people to either leave the city or pass those taxes along to customers, to the consumers. If they pass a tariff along, why wouldn't they pass a tax on revenue along to consumers? Higher labor costs? Pass it along. Higher utility costs? Pass it along. Higher regulation costs? Pass it along. Tax cut? Keep it. Tax cut? Keep it. Buy back our stock. That's the behavior. That's the behavior. It's why I've said in the past, tax cuts and cutting regulations doesn't create jobs. Demand creates jobs. That's what creates jobs, demand. So increasing the minimum wage or giving employees health benefits, it doesn't create jobs. Demand creates jobs. You have to put money in people's pockets so people can afford to go out and spend that money and live their life. But to put too much money in that pocket, and you're going to run into a problem. If I'm working 3 jobs to make it in New York City, and you lower my rent by $1,000 a month, I'm quitting one of those jobs. I guarantee you that. Maybe 2 of those jobs. And that's great, right? But now someone has to replace you at that job. And if the labor market shrinks because so many people are able to work only 1 job instead of 3, well, now that increases the cost of labor. You have to pay more to attract somebody to come in and replace all the people who quit their jobs. Don't you think if this was easy, somebody would have figured it out by now? I mean, seriously, I don't know, comparison group. I don't know. Behavior is extremely difficult to predict, least of all in a place like New York City. You can really hustle and make $100,000 a year driving Uber in New York City and be dead broke. Be dead broke. You can fart in people's faces online a couple hours a day and be a millionaire in New York City. So yes, we are indeed living in interesting times. So dance if you got to dance in New York City. Dance if you got to dance in New Jersey. Dance if you got to dance in Virginia. I promise you, I'll dance with you as long as the music has a beat of honesty, reality, and compromise. Oh, look at me go. Look at me go. I'm dancing. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Thanks for listening. That's the show. The Comparison Guy Podcast.
We can dance if we want. We can leave your friends behind. Cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. I say, we can go where we want. A place where they'll never find. And we can act like we come from out of this world. Leave the real one far behind.
Ooh, look at me go. Look at me go. Look at me dance. Come on, dance with me. Can't see it on YouTube? Listen. 1,000 subscribers. I gotta get to 1,000 subscribers this time. At least if I get to 1,000 subscribers, maybe somebody will watch the videos. But I can't be putting up all those videos and spending all that time for a couple of views. I hope you understand. So you go to Apple Podcasts, you go to Spotify, you listen, you comment, you follow, you share. That's all you gotta do. That's all I'm asking you to do. Listen, follow, share. Come on. Come on, let's dance. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.
got all your life in mind. As long as we abuse it, never gonna lose it. Everything will work out right. I say, we can dance if we want. We can leave your friends behind. 'Cause your friends don't dance